It's been a big 48 hours here in the UK. We've left the European Union, divorced after 44 years of fair trade, free movement and economic support. Now we can talk all day about whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's perfectly safe to assume that the Leave campaign's main drive came from inaccurate xenophobic arguments surrounding immigration. And it worked. Frighteningly, this referendum proved one thing more than anything else. We're a nation full of ignorance and hatred of the other. Racial tendencies plague millions of us.
Is to stop the Muslims from coming into this country. Simple as that.
Do you think you voted to leave the EU to stop Muslims coming to the country?
To stop immigration.
Right.
But the movement of people in Europe, fair enough. But not from Africa, Syria, Iraq, everywhere else. It's all wrong.
The ignorance is further backed up by Google Analytics. Hours after the result, people from Britain were frantically Googling what the EU is. And some vote leavers are outraged at what they've actually voted for. Added to that, stories are already surfacing of ethnic minorities, including children, being abused on the streets and at schools, with offenders telling them to start packing their bags as they're not welcome anymore. A hell of a lot of people also ended up voting because the Leave campaign also pledged to put a portion of the money saved from paying EU membership towards maintaining the NHS. Well, this is what Nigel Farage had to say about that.
The £350 million a week we send to the EU, which we will no longer send to the EU, can you guarantee that's going to go to the NHS?
No, I can't, and I would never have made that claim.
Funnily enough, that 100 million isn't even worth 100 million anymore. The value of the pound dropped by around 14%, which means that 100 million is now worth around 86 million. I'll express this from a more down-to-earth perspective. Your £100 is now worth £86, which means you have to pay £100 for something you previously paid £86 for. Basically, Freddos may get more expensive. Of course, the pound sterling will fluctuate and settle over the coming weeks and months, so we'll have to see what happens. Now, of course, not everybody who voted for a British exit is a racist xenophobe. Those people get the media attention because it's just straight up idiotic. Most are disenfranchised with the government, and the Leave vote was a big FU to the establishment. Many actually made conscious decisions after research and genuinely felt the EU is an organisation we could do better without. It's not like there weren't genuine reasons to leave the EU. For instance, the orders to initiate new legislation come from an unelected commission and the central bank, which is anti-democratic. The austerity-laden way they treated Greece when a left-wing government was elected there was widely seen as appalling. They've also washed their hands of desperate refugees in the charade with Turkey, which has been labelled xenophobic and racist. And then there's that big dirty acronym TTIP. The secret talks between the EU and the US that aim to give American corporations power over elected European governments, which would be the final nail in the coffin for the NHS and other public services. The EU have shown many signs of being lapdogs to US imperialism and global corporatism. But now that we've left, the only question to ask is, are we better off with Boris Johnson and the Conservative Party, the right-wing establishment who, let's face it, have done more to damage this country and others without the EU, and demagogues like Nigel Farage influencing this country? Or may there be some positive change on the horizon? It seems like all hell has broke loose in Britannia, but who knows, a positive people's champion type of leader may inherit a supposedly fresh nation, or we may have another referendum. But whatever happens, from now on we need to lose the hate, stop believing the lies of, especially, divisive politicians, learn about the severely manipulative monetary system that rules over us, and as a nation, as one people, radically challenge austerity, challenge cuts to public services, challenge elitist driven talking points and be a service to each other and the rest of the world. Let's start moving forward.